Hello, everyone, and happy International Women's Day. Who is a woman? She is someone who makes up half the human population, and she can manage both work at home and at offices with no hesitation. She's beautiful inside and out, and she stands up for her rights boldly throughout. We all claim to be living in a free nation, but how can that be so when so many still undergo discrimination? Women empowerment is a common principle that is being reiterated by all the global leaders. When I read stories about great women achievers, it fills me with a sense of pride and inspiration. However, one question I still ask myself is, why is it that we are only talking about women upliftment, women empowerment, and feminism? Why is it that males don't face such a situation? In fact, if you think about it, even the word woman has the word men in it. The word female has the word male in it. Human has the word man in it. And person has the word son in it. Even these common words that we use to distinguish between genders reveals the dominance of one over the other. The past reveals mistakes and stereotypes that are slowly being fixed. Many reforms have taken place thanks to men and women alike. Malala, the youngest Nobel Prize winner, once said, "I raise my voice not so that I can shout, but so that those without one can still be heard." We celebrate this day in order to give a voice to the millions of women across the globe who still feel discriminated and deprived of their voice. We also celebrate this day in order to honor all those who have made gender equality a possibility. Now, I would like to welcome Dr. Anbakani. My friend Akshaj will now give us an introduction about her.
Dr. Anbukkani Subbaian is a consultant gynaecologic oncologist and robotic surgeon at the Kovai Medical Center and Hospital. She is the executive committee member of the Association of Gynaecologic Oncologists of India and is also a member of the International Committee of South Zone India (RCOG), Royal College of Obstetricians and Gynaecologists. She has the pride of being the first to be selected from India as an editor of the European Journal of Obstetrics, Gynecology and Reproductive Biology. Dr. Anbukkani completed her MBBS at the Coimbatore Medical College and thereafter pursued a diploma in Obstetrics and Gynecology at the Stanley Medical College, Chennai. She is also a diplomat in the same field from the National Board of Examinations, New Delhi. Madam has then taken membership of the Royal College of Obstetricians and Gynaecologists, London, and a fellowship from Kovai Memorial Institute of Oncology, Bangalore. She has also completed a certification examination from the European Society of Gynaecological Oncology, Athens, Greece. With her travel fellowship, Dr. Anbukkani has also attended various meetings at places like Melbourne, Australia, Lisbon, Portugal, and has also been a visiting observer at Royal North Shore Hospital, Australia. At the personal front, Madam is passionate about reading both fiction and non-fiction. She is passionate about dance and music. She has a keen interest in yoga, walking, and running. It is indeed a privilege for us to be in conversation with such a versatile personality on this Women's Day. A hearty welcome to you, dear ma'am.
Ma'am, this being Women's Day, our first few questions will be to you as a woman, an empowered woman who has been successful in the pursuit of her dreams. So shall we begin, ma'am?
Yes, thank you for that introduction and thank you for having me here for this really wonderful event.
Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, what does the International Women's Day mean to you? Do you believe that this day really does honor women? Do you find it necessary to have such a day?
I think the answer is an absolute yes, because but the only thing that I would like to take away from International Women's Day is not just honoring women who put us where we are here today. I think it looks at the past, at the present, and at the future. Okay. Now we all talk about how we have to take care of the small things and celebrate the small things in life. But very often we forget to do that, isn't it? So we always need a nudge, a reminder to say, are you thinking about this? And therefore, you've got various days to commemorate events. So you've got, say, a polio day, you've got an International Women's Day, you've got the Girl Child Day. All of these are particular moments in case we are lost in the busyness of our life, to remind ourselves, to nudge ourselves and say, here, let's take a pause and think about it today. So what are we supposed to do on that day? We kind of celebrate all the different women that have put us at our present spot. We feel grateful for where we've reached now, but it doesn't stop there. We make plans, right? We draw out a plan, we draw out a goal of what we need to achieve and the steps that we have to take us further beyond where we are today. And I think that's what Women's Day does. It takes into account what we've achieved, but the most important thing is to plan out what we need to do for the future, because we've got miles to go, even though it feels like we've achieved a lot.
Thank you, ma'am. That was really inspiring. Ma'am, in my opinion, International Women's Day is for both men and women alike. Whether we are talking about gender equality, anti-sexism, or anti-discrimination, both men and women are involved. We're not talking about raising women over men. We're talking about an equal pedestal for both. What is your opinion about this, ma'am?
I absolutely agree with you. I think you can't do this job on your own. And if you're a feminist, you could be a male or a female. You don't have to be a woman to be a feminist. Any person who calls themselves a feminist is just looking, whether male or female, is looking to uplift women. And why do women need to be lifted up? We know that it's only been a few decades since we've got the right to vote. We've got the right to be in a medical college. Women were not allowed inside medical colleges. It was purely a men's game. They were not allowed inside clubs. They were not allowed inside certain temples. So there are so many restrictions that are placed on us. And therefore, if we are talking about upliftment, it needs all hands to pick us up. Therefore, we need men to be invested in this process as well. We're not talking about pushing beyond men. Now, we have to understand that biologically, men and women are different. Men, at least until this point, cannot give birth to kids, right? Things could change in the future with all the scientific developments that are happening, but we don't know that. Right now, the process of giving birth, of raising a child, does happen to be a woman's job or a woman's responsibility. Therefore, we're not talking about biological equality. We're talking about cerebral equality. We've all got brains to think. We think differently, but when we think, our thoughts matter, our dreams matter, and we want a pedestal that is equal in opportunity to express ourselves and to go forth. We're only talking about cerebral equality. And I think that's what men need to understand.
Thank you, ma'am. It feels good to perceive a world free of bias, stereotypes, and discrimination. A world where differences are valued and celebrated. But we know the reality and the fact that it's not very rosy. The theme for the International Women's Day campaign for 2022 is Break the Bias. Ma'am, this is a personal question. Have you ever encountered any such biases in your lifetime? At home, in places where you've studied, or at the workplace?
So I'm extremely privileged to not having faced any major bias. I was born to parents who never made me feel, me or my two sisters, we're three girls, we were never made to feel that we were any different from any other, I wouldn't say male, any other human being in the world. Because biases are not just gender, isn't it? There is bias in terms of social equality, financial equality. So there was never a point in time when I was growing up that I was made to feel that if I set out to do something, my parents were going to stop me based on who I was. And the same thing has kind of happened in my family now as well, with my husband and my entire extended family, as well as my workplace. To a large extent, I think the universe conspires to give you, what you set out to dream. So in that way, there have been minor biases. Like, for example, if a female doctor walks through a corridor, she will get addressed as a sister. Sister, can you help me with this? But a male doctor is a doctor, right? So those kind of minor biases, there are comments from colleagues or comments from extended family members who might say, you've chosen surgery. Is it really a girl's job? So those kind of minor biases will always exist. You can't stop everybody's voices. But I'm one of those privileged people who's had an extremely supportive family. And I think that's the most important thing that you need to have to go forward. So that way, I faced very little bias, honestly.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, if we do not lift up women and families, then everyone will fall short. I have quoted the American Vice President Kamala Harris here. Do you have any such pet quote that you would like to share on this occasion, ma'am?
I've got two, actually. So the one is not quoted by Kamala Harris, but she did mention this when she won the vice presidential election. She said that we stand on the shoulders of giants who have lifted us up. And the rest of that quote actually goes, so that does not mean we can see far because we have a keen eyesight. We see far because we're standing on the shoulders of all the people who've lifted us up to this position, right? So it also means we come with privilege as well as responsibility. Today we stand on someone's shoulders. Tomorrow we need to be those shoulders for someone else. And that is basically what we need to be doing on International Women's Day. It's not just to enjoy the privilege that we've arrived at today. It is to have that keen sense of responsibility that we've got to pay it forward. We've got to pay it forward to other people, to people in our home, to our house help, to everybody that we come across, to not have any sort of discrimination. And that's what we have to take home from those quotes. It's celebration as well as responsibility. And I love that quote. It keeps coming in my mind all the time because I think it instills a sense of gratitude for where I am today. And I couldn't have achieved that without the shoulders of giants.
Thank you, ma'am. Now, let's get into your professional domain. You are a robotic surgeon, ma'am. We understand that robotic surgery is about performing complex surgical tasks through tiny incisions using robotic technology, and that it has numerous benefits to patients. The whole technique seems new and interesting. Could you tell us a little more about this process? And are there many women doctors in this field? How did you get interested in this?
So basically, any surgery for any medical condition is putting a cut on the part of the body, right? Whether it's brain surgery or heart surgery or an abdominal surgery. So that was how we were always doing surgery. Now, sometime during technological advancements, we came up with something known as minimal access surgery, where we developed instruments to put in very small incisions inside a person's body. That could be in the brain, that could be in the chest, it could be in the tummy. And we insert instruments and we kind of work like you would play a video game. Okay, so you've got your console, you've got your remote control, you're looking at the screen and you're controlling the images there, isn't it? Very similar to that, when we do minimal access surgery, we look at a screen, we handle the instruments which go through tiny holes inside a patient's body, and we look at the screen and operate instead of looking at the patient's body and operating. Now, the traditional minimal access surgery is called laparoscopy. I'm sure you've heard about laparoscopic surgical centers. Robotic surgery is just a more advanced kind of laparoscopy where the instruments are really dexterous. Now imagine operating, holding the tip of two golf clubs. Yeah? It's going to be very difficult, isn't it? You have to be extremely careful, extremely talented and trained to hold two golf clubs and actually cut with the tip of that golf club because it's so rigid. Laparoscopy does that. Whereas in robotic surgery, the instruments move like a wave. So you can actually move it like a human hand. The only difference is that it is moving inside a patient's body without large cuts. But the principle is the same. You're still looking at a screen. You're moving these instruments sitting at a console like a video game console. And the instruments are moving like a mini human hand inside the patient's body. So to answer the second part of your question, there are a lot of wonderful women who do extremely good beautiful robotic surgery all over India and in the world, which goes to prove that women can do everything that they set out to do. But yes, to answer your question, I'm the only female robotic surgeon in Coimbatore. There are a lot of us who are trained, but I believe I would be the only one that's continuing to still do robotic surgery. And why I got interested is it was an instant fall in love moment for me when I saw the way the instrument operates, the way patient walks out. So usual surgeries take about 2-3 days for the patient to stand up and walk because of the pain of the cut. But in this, literally the next day, the patient is sitting up, they're walking back home, and this is after long cancer surgeries and complicated procedures. So for me, the drive is the patient outcome and the beauty of the instruments.
That's really interesting, ma'am. Ma'am, from Coimbatore Medical College to Stanley, Chennai, then to New Delhi, then to London and Greece, it really is a wow factor. It's also amazing to know of your travel fellowships in Australia and Portugal. Who has been the driving force behind all of these achievements, ma'am? And also, is there anything more that you wish to accomplish?
I think the driving force is only me. You've told me about it. Thank you so much. It sounds so nice when you say that way. But say it that way. But there's another thing that I want to draw your attention to is the timeline. Okay. So 2004 was when I finished my training, my New Delhi exam, and 2009 was my London exam, and 2014 was my Bangalore exam, and literally 2019 was my Greece exam. And there's 5 years, literally every 5 years, I think I take stock of how much I know and how much I have to learn. See, any field that has technology, in fact, any field today is just progressing at a rapid pace. And knowledge today is power. It's not money. It's knowledge is power, right? And if you want to excel in your field, particularly in medicine, you've got to know things. You've got to keep yourself updated. So literally, there are people who do this on a day-to-day basis. We all do that. But I think for me, I want to, once in a few years, go through the entire sort of curriculum that I'm practicing right now. And I do it best when I'm taking an exam. So I literally go through the entire curriculum. I read and prepare like a student, like you guys are doing. And I take these exams literally like once in 5 to 10 years so that I can stay on top of my game. So yeah, my plan will not stop because, you want to be at least, if not the best, one of the good ones out there who's practicing medicine all my life. So in the next 5 years, maybe from 2024, will be a time when I'll set out to do another training because there's lots to learn for all of us. So the road is still long and a lot of promises to keep and miles to go.
Thank you, ma'am. And finally, what is your Women's Day message for all our viewers, ma'am? We want to hear from both your perspectives as an empowered woman and also as a gynecologic oncologist.
Is it only to the women? The message?
Everyone, ma'am.
Okay. So basically, I don't want to give messages like, dream big. All of that is important. Any dream should be the biggest, the silliest, the craziest you've ever dreamt. So if you want to be a surgeon, you want to be, the top-notch surgeon at the biggest hospital in the world. If you want to be a DJ, you want to play at Ibiza. If you want to be a director, you've got to play your movies at Cannes. So dream like, you would not imagine yourself doing that. And the other practical message is read books, okay? Because they are the window to imagination. They are the window to dreaming. They're a window to knowledge. They will guide your path. So read books, get off your devices, read real hardbound books, because I think that's a habit that we're all losing. And if you can all remember to do that, that would actually be my very practical message as an empowered woman, because I think my power comes from books. And as a gynecologic oncologist, I think we should take care of our health. And this is particularly to all the women out there, because I think we always compromise our health for the sake of our family. We put our family first, and I'm sure a lot of women will agree with that. We take care of our chores, we take care of our office responsibilities, exercise is the last priority, we get to eat the last, we always sacrifice our food for our family members. and get to eat the leftovers. So I think our health is priority, because once that is lost, there's nothing much we can do for ourselves or our families. So prioritize health, read a lot of books, and dream big.
Thank you, ma'am. That's really inspiring. Ma'am, thank you so much for your valuable time, and your messages are really admirable. Thank you, ma'am, and happy International Women's Day.